Hey guys, in this video, I wanted to talk about why I chose the Xiaomi Mi 8 over the Pocophone F1. I was in the market for a new phone, and having used many Xiaomi phones over the years, I wanted to stick with this brand. My daily driver was a Mi 5S Plus, which is a couple years old and a few generations old now. It has served me well, but I wanted to upgrade my phone. Xiaomi has many phones in their lineup, but the two that were in my price range were the Mi 8 and the Pocophone F1. They both run Android 8.0, Oreo, and features the Snapdragon 845 octa-core silicon on chip with the Adreno 630 GPU. I really wanted a reason to buy the Poco F1 since the price was very attractive. Keep in mind, requirements will differ from person to person. As much as I wanted to buy the Pocophone F1, the two things that it lacked was a no-go for me. First was the Lte Bands. A lot of reviews don't discuss this, but this is a huge deal. Unlike the iPhones, a lot of Chinese phones don't support every Lte band. They usually support the most common ones and will skip out on the ones used in North America. The Mi 8 supports 15 Lte bands compared to 9 on the F1. I travel within Canada and the United States frequently, and the F1 was missing the crucial Lte bands 2, 4, and 12. The only carriers that provided a decent price plan for LTE data uses these missing LTE bands. So these are all the bands supported by the two phones. As you can see, the Mi 8 supports more of them. I had the exact same issue with my Mi 5S Plus, where it didn't have the necessary LTE bands for the carriers I used, so the Mi 8 was a definite improvement over my previous Xiaomi phone. The other issue was that the Pocophone F1 lacks NFC. In North America, most payment systems like Apple Pay or Google Pay uses NFC. Even with that said, the Poco F1 has some amazing specs for a $300 phone. The Mi 8 is about $100 more expensive at $400, but you do get a bit more for your money. In regards to the screen, the Mi 8 has a slightly larger 6.21 AMOLED screen compared to the Poco F1's 6.18 IPS screen. I've used both IPS and AMOLED screens and have a slight preference for AMOLED, but not a huge deal for me. The Mi 8 also has a better camera with optical image stabilization. 95% of my pictures are taken with my phone, so the better camera on the Mi 8 was a nice addition. That's not to say that the Poco F1's camera is bad. From what I can see, it's pretty decent. The Mi 8 lacks the headphone jack while the F1 includes it. It might be a big deal breaker for some, but I use Bluetooth headphones, so this was not an issue for me. Also, if you have to have a headphone jack, there is a Type-C to 3.5mm adapter. The Mi 8 has a smaller 3400 milliamp hour battery compared to the 4000 milliamp on the Poco F1. This might translate to a bit less battery life. The Mi 8 has a glass front and back with an aluminum frame, while the Poco F1 has a plastic body with front glass. While the Mi 8 does feel more premium, I don't think it's a big deal for me. Having used the Mi 8 for a few weeks now, I have to say I'm very happy with it. I'm getting a lot of features found in the more expensive flagships, but at 1/3 the cost. One of my favorite features is the Face Unlock, which is basically like Apple's Face ID. And I use this all the time now because it works really well even in the dark. And to enable this feature, you have to make sure that you have the right region set. If not, this feature won't be available. So see the manage face data unlock is on, but this is only available if you have the certain region selected, because when I had North America, I wasn't able to, this feature was missing. So make sure you have either Hong Kong and I believe India also, that would work. So after I set those parameters, I was able to set up the face unlock. Like all these newer phones that have these gigantic screens, they're all doing away with the home buttons or the navigation buttons, and instead they've replaced it with gestures to mimic the home, back, and the recent applications button. So here is full screen gestures. By default, I believe it is buttons, which gives you these soft keys or on-screen buttons on the bottom. I prefer to have full screen gestures so that you can maximize the space. And when you do that, flicking up from the bottom will activate the home button. Flicking up and holding will activate the recent apps. And then if you flick from left or right, this will activate forward or back. Running intensive emulators like Dolphin yielded great results due to the latest optimizations and the Snapdragon 845. I can finally play Mario Kart Wii at 60 frames per second on an Android device. My Nintendo Switch will now get some rest when commuting. A year from now, I'm sure Xiaomi's successor to the Pocophone F1 and the Mi 8 will offer even more features for the money. I'm hoping they add more Lte Bands and NFC to their other phones in the F1 and the Mi Max line. So if you're looking for a phone that has a lot of features at half the cost of the major competitors, Xiaomi makes some pretty good flagship phones, especially with the Mi 8. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you have a nice day, and I will see you next time.